Hello, and welcome to the second half of our April 25th, 2025 webinar, Exploring Effective Models for Retreat Training. In this second half, we have interviews from 3 additional programs. We spoke with California's Society for the Blind Senior Impact Program, New Hampshire's Silver Retreat, and Louisiana's Center for the Blind TLC program. Come along with us and learn how 3 additional programs are running their senior retreat, group training, and peer support programming. TLC Senior Retreat Program, Louisiana Center for the Blind.
Okay, so when you do training in a church or a council on aging, are they group? Do you do like any kind of a camp or group trainings for adults?
We do small group trainings, like I said, at councils on aging, churches, senior living, like assisted living complexes, those kinds of things. And then we also have what we call retreats, where people will have a small group of about anywhere between maybe 6 and 12 people come over to the Louisiana Center for the Blind over in Ruston. We have apartments there that we use. And they come and they live together for 4 days. We spend the night there. We do very in-depth training there. We do a lot of travel. We do a lot of cooking and leisure activities, just kind of dependent on what the group is into. This last one we had in November, we did a fishing. We had a bunch of people that were interested in fishing and had quit fishing.
Oh, cool.
You know, that's a big thing here in Louisiana. So we did a fishing outing with them, and we
fun.
We used the little lures that make noise and rattle whenever a fish is on it. We didn't catch any fish, so
they tried though.
we tried, and just getting people out and letting them. I mean, even if you don't catch fish, it's still fun to be out. It was a beautiful day. And then we bought fish and fried it. And, we taught them how they can continue frying fish and, cutting up French fries and just all the things that go along with that. Because so many people give that up. And it's something they really love. Louisiana, we love our cooking. So we spend a lot of time on that. A lot of times if we have a group that like to sew, we'll do, a full day on sewing, different, ways to continue that. Not every time, but several times we will do woodworking. LCB has a large woodworking shop with all the equipment for the students to use. So they'll let our seniors come over and use the woodworking equipment and get woodworking instruction. So we try and arrange our groups where, they have similar interests. So, we might have a lot of ladies that want to sew in one, and then we might have a lot of people that want woodworking in the next one. So it just kind of varies on what our clientele's interested in.
Okay. And then when they stay on campus, are any of those things funded by like the state OIB funding, or are you guys having to fund all of that?
It is partially funded by our the 7OB program.
Okay.
And then LCB puts up a match. They provide all the equipment, they provide all the housing and all that, transportation, all that. We do all that.
Okay, so you do have a pretty good collaboration with that 7OB
Right.
funding. Good. Okay, awesome. So it sounds like the agenda or the curriculum varies. There's probably not a set curriculum. It varies depending on the group that you're working with, or do you have kind of a set curriculum that you would use in general?
We have a set curriculum, but when we get to leisure activities, that's the part that kind of varies. And it's not a written in stone kind of agenda. We just kind of have things we go over, and usually a set time frame that we do them. But people just vary so much in their needs and their wants and their activities they want to do, that we change it up depending on. We're very flexible.
Okay.
That's the name of the game. You have to be flexible with what they want. And then with seniors, you have to go with what they're able to do too. Some days, some groups oh, hold on one second. My things want to
Okay.
update. Okay. Some groups have, a lot of stamina where we may have another group that needs a, a 30-minute rest after they do things. So
Okay.
that, we just got to be flexible with what we do.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. So their age, then you're 55 and over typically is the age of the person you're looking at.
Right. 55 and older.
Okay. And then what group sizes do you usually try to keep if somebody was going to access it?
Usually between 6 and 12.
Okay. That's
We
pretty good.
allow family member to come. The first year or so we
Awesome.
did it, we didn't have family members come, and our clients would go home and their spouse would be like, oh no, you're not touching that saw, it's too dangerous, or no, you
Mhm.
can't touch the stove because you're going to burn yourself. So we found if we have the family member come with them, they can participate and learn how they can do things safely as well. So and we do a lot of kind of family support, family counseling, because when you go blind, it's not just it's a whole family situation. So
Mhm.
we do a lot of that as well. So we allow one family member to come, and then on the last day, if they have more family members that want to come, we do like a little graduation ceremony, and
Oh,
the whole
nice.
family can come for that.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay. And that was one of my questions. Do family members get to come? So that's awesome. Do you guys plan if you're doing the residential for 4 days or for a week roughly, do you plan all of their time? Do they have after hours activities or do they get to just kind of mingle after hours when they're staying at the apartments or the dorms?
They mingle, but sometimes we have after hours activities. This last one, we had someone there that came and did personal safety training.
Okay.
Um, so that was something we did after hours. He just happened to be at the center doing training for them, so he came over and did stuff with our seniors. We've had that happen 3 or 4 times. Sometimes we'll have a play. Maybe if there's a play going on in town, we'll take them to a play.
Oh, nice.
We'll go maybe out to dinner at a restaurant, because that's something that a lot of people give up as well. So we just kind of try to incorporate those after hour activities into something that they want to be doing at home anyway, or something they've stopped doing. But they do usually have several hours throughout the stay there where they can have free time to do whatever they want, or just talk. And I think that's something that really does help them, is just talking with the other people that are there, and hearing their stories and how they've coped. Another thing we do that's kind of different is, or maybe it's not different, I don't know, we have peer mentors. So
Okay,
we
nice.
have 2 seniors that have been blind for many years that came to one of our earlier retreats, and they come and act as a peer mentor. They tell their story, how we have one lady that sat in her house for 13 years and never went out, and came to a retreat and basically got her life back. She travels around now and does all kinds of things. We had another gentleman that comes, and he just wanted something to read with, and he wound up learning so much that he went back to work, and he's still working, and he's gotten
Awesome.
promotions. And so we have some great peer mentors that come and really uplift our seniors that are there. So that's very, very helpful to us as well, because Stacy, Janet, and I, none of us are blind or visually impaired. So having those senior mentors who are their age and blind as well really makes a big impact on them.
It is a big difference, yeah, to hear
Yeah.
from somebody, yeah, living the experience.
Right.
And so for you all, for the staff, are you guys agency trained or are you certified through ACVREP? Who does the training?
We Janet is ACV, whatever that one.
REP? Mhm.
Yes. I have my certification from the Pennsylvania College of Optometry and Low Vision, and a
Okay,
master's in social work from LSU.
cool.
Um, Then we also did some agency training as well. And then Stacy's got her master's in orientation and mobility from Arizona, somewhere in Arizona. And then I think she's ACVRP.
REP. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You're good.
As well. So we have kind of both, kind of a mix.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we do yearly training with the center as well.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Very cool. And so the retreat, is it just TLC Retreat? Is that what you guys call it? Or does it have a special name for your retreat?
TLC Senior Retreat. That's it.
Senior Retreat. Okay.
Yeah. And TLC stands for Techniques for Living Confidently.
It's such a cool program. And the retreat aspect is really what we're looking at. A lot of places don't do, they'll do the community-based training or they'll do in-home training, but they don't bring older adults together like you might do with kids. And so it's a very unique thing to see. We really want to highlight that so states know that you don't have to like leave older adults out of that. You can bring them together and let them learn from each other.
Okay. Yeah, it's my favorite thing we do. I wish we had more funding to do them, once a month. We don't, because Louisiana, our territory is so spread out. There's people that can't come over for 4 or 5 days. They have sick loved ones or they just, don't want to.
Yeah.
So we still have to do our in-home, training. But the retreat, if we can get people over, I know in-home services change lives, but the retreat, you can just feel it on graduation day. There's tears. We have never had one where there aren't tears shed, even by big burly men. You would never think to cry. They just really get so much out of it, and they build lifelong friendships from it,
which is important.
Yeah. So it is absolutely the best thing we do. I find, and then we kind of continue that over 1 month, one Thursday a month. We have a virtual senior meeting.
Okay.
So we get a lot of people from the retreat or anyone throughout the state can call into it. It's just, a phone conference line, and we have different topics.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just maybe chit chat or what's going on in the news. Sometimes we have a speaker from, Talking Books or the pharmacy or different things, different subject matters, cooking, whatever whatever we have that month. So that's another way for them to connect as well. So I think it's just really important to get seniors to connect with one another and socialize as much as possible.
Yeah. I agree. Awesome. No, I agree. They get kind of trapped in their homes.
Yes. And that's why I started the monthly virtual meeting was during COVID. Because, we couldn't meet one-on-one for so long. So I started it then, and we just kind of kept it up ever since. They really love it so much. So
great program. We don't see people bringing older adults together very often. So
yeah, it's really needed. It really is. So I'm proud that we started that. I really am. I know some other places do it as well, but like I said, it's one of the best things I think we do as far as seniors go.
No, it's a great, and there's not many. I'm looking, and we've found maybe 7 or 8 total across the nation, which is not that many.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing to highlight. Well, thank you so much.
Senior Impact Program, California Society for the Blind. Go for it. Take it away.
Okay, so in California, the OIB funds are awarded through a competitive process. So every 3 years, we go through a competitive process. And there are 23 blindness agencies in the state of California, and we're all more or less geographically located. And so when we look at how we want to support seniors, we kind of look at what are the counties that we cover and we want to work with. During this last round, I happened to be at the time president of the California Association of Agencies for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And we all came together and we went over every county in the state, and each agency just stated which counties they wanted to apply for funding. And then if there were more than one agency for a given county, we were tasked with working together to jointly put in a proposal. So it was not, we weren't competing against each other for the same territory.
Oh,
So it was a
nice.
much more collaborative process. So that's, you know, how that process works. Society for the Blind was funded for 13 counties. So it's a pretty big geographical area that we serve. We're located in Sacramento, California, but we serve counties that are pretty close and then counties that are pretty far away. Some of those counties are rather sparsely populated, but that just means that those seniors are more isolated, have more challenges to get services and the like. So that's kind of the down and dirty on how the senior, the OIB grant is parceled out in the state of California.
Okay, wow. Okay. So then since you cover such a wide area for your senior impact program, you bring individuals into one central location or two different locations?
It's all of that. So
Okay.
so we provide our services at our center, which is in sort of Midtown Sacramento. We also do in-homes and we also do remote instruction. So we actually kind of have 3 modes of training seniors. So like in some counties, if there's a lot of snow in a given winter time, it can be next to impossible to get into those counties until the snow melts. And so that's where remote, which could be on a computer or over the phone. And we developed actually during COVID, we developed what we called safe at home kits. And so we would put some basic instructional materials, you know, including a cane, bump dots, you know, myriad other things. And we would actually ship those to a client's home. And then we would call them or do a Zoom and we would go over with them how to use those various items as sort of a beginner class. So that's how we do that. We do a lot of community engagement activities. So in addition to the actual classes where we're teaching blindness skills, we also will do like the Apple Hill is a very popular area in the fall. We take seniors there, so they're practicing their cane skills. They're getting to practice, you know, shopping and going out. And then it's really about the socialization and breaking the isolation, as you know, that happens for a lot of seniors.
When you do bring them together, how large are the groups that you usually try to bring together with your seniors?
Yeah, it's a great question. We usually, if it's a training, like say it's training on how to use your iPhone, your smartphone, we'll probably limit that class to say 9 to 15 people because it is so intensive. And so that in that case, you know, most of the staff would be on hand that day. The other thing that we do is we use a lot of mentors. So those are seniors who have gone through our program and have been around for a while, who then become trained on how to be basically like a teacher's assistant. And so when we're doing a program like, say, an iPhone workshop or some other skill training, they'll be there as well. So we might have 5 or 6 mentors who then support 4 or 5 instructors. And that way, each individual participant is going to get a one-on-one person working with them.
That's awesome. That is really awesome to use mentors.
Yeah.
For that, do they ever do like an overnight activity or an overnight like camp
We
thing, or
don't.
it's just day programming?
It's all day programming. So we do not do residential services.
No residential. Okay. And are they fully funded with the OIB, or do your participants ever have to contribute to their services or their supplies?
We provide all of the materials and the instructions. So through the OIB grant and then obviously fundraising, we're able to provide those services. And so we don't ask our clients to make a payment. We do share with them, you know, this is what this program costs. This is what, you know, and so a lot of our clients actually make donations. They're generous in that respect, if they're able. But most of our clients in all of our programming, not just our senior program, are low to very low income.
Okay. And they're all 55 and over generally for
senior
your
program,
OIB
yes.
and your OIB? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Do they ever get to, other than maybe having the mentors work with them, do they ever get to have a +1 where maybe they can bring a family member to the class to learn along with them to
Absolutely.
support? Okay.
Absolutely. So depending on the client, some require an attendant to be with them.
Okay.
And or like especially if we're doing remote instruction, that's often a nice time to have a family member, caregiver present so that they're hearing how we teach. They're also learning about interdependence. So sometimes there's a lot of dependencies that develop. So we're trying to help that senior become a little bit more independent, but also know when it's important to ask for help. So we will, link people in that way as far as involving family members or caregivers.
Okay. And that's also equally important in breaking some of that isolation and getting the help.
Absolutely.
Welcome,
Absolutely.
Kathleen. Your general programming, do you guys have like a set curriculum, or do you have like rotating classes that you offer for your older adults, or is it just kind of like dependent on who's coming through at the time?
Well, normally when I do an intake, which is
Mhm.
getting the ball rolling, I will suggest in-home evaluation and training. And that's an opportunity for clients to actually sit down with one of our instructors in their home, transportation being an issue. So we go to them, and of course we're traveling across 13 counties. So that's the in-homes is a really good introduction for our clients. I explain to them ahead of time what we do, that our focus is on training and helping people to adapt to their vision loss through learning to do things in alternative techniques, and that we do offer the in-home training in addition to other in-person group training at the agency, primarily at the agency, as well as remote access. And so what we're talking about then are, training in accessible technology devices and training, activities of daily living, communications, advocacy, core skills. And, getting an idea in the intake, what the person, where they want to start. I'm giving them the information to their options to make choices, and then assigning an instructor and most of them do go with the in-home evaluation, or they can come here. Occasionally I get people who would prefer to come to the agency to meet the instructor. And I assign instructors if they have a specialty in a particular area, like working with Apple products or an orientation mobility instructor. Is that answering your question?
It is, yes. Yeah. So your courses, you assign them to an instructor. When they come in for like group classes, are those on like a rotation? I know when I worked at the Lighthouse in Florida, we had, like the Apple iPhone class was every Tuesday, and it was on rotation and people could kind of come through. Is that how you do it?
Normally with the iPhone in particular, which is really popular, we have a workshop every month.
Oh,
So
cool.
we have a schedule we send out the prior month for the upcoming month for people to sign up for workshops. iPhone and mobility workshops are usually available here,
Okay.
in person at the agency. And then once a month we do like I think it's the last Monday of the month for a call in. So no matter where you are, you can call in, and there's going to be a instructor to answer specific questions. And then one new thing we're doing now, and this is because we have fabulous clients, we have a group of clients who are meeting once a month, and they call their group, how do we do it? And anyone can call in and talk to another client about a problem they're having. And so,
Oh, wow.
that peer networking as well, solution, problem solving, coming up with solutions.
And Stephanie, we put out a calendar every month. There's like cooking classes, so in living skills and things that are they're happening all the time. So if Kathleen said, if you can't make it in January, we're going to have that iPhone class in February, and maybe a couple times in February. There's the what we call our core blindness skills classes. Those are repeated, and then peppered in there are like, next week we're doing a waffle breakfast or not next week, on the 29th. And so those are things
Awesome.
that are, social engagement. And it's also an opportunity for our clients to get to practice the skills that Kathleen and the rest of the staff are teaching them. They get to learn how to set a table, prepare food, clean it up, all of that. So, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is a loud, fun
this
program.
month we're taking a group to Home Depot, for instance, and we do
Oh, fun.
at least we call that community integration.
Yeah.
They practice their mobility skills, their communication skills, how to check out, use their, to pay for things. Again, it's a social atmosphere. It's supportive, helping people to overcome their fears and build their confidence in using very practical skills when they're out.
They go to the train station and Amtrak
Awesome.
station and so really practical things.
That's awesome. And are your instructors agency trained, or are they certified through the revision rehabilitation field?
Both. They're so if they're teaching orientation mobility, most of ours are NOMC trained. We also have a comms trained certified instructor. Our assistive technology instructors go through ATI to be trained. So that's a couple of like a 2-year program, I believe. And Braille instructors, they pass their UEB tests. So they're all trained certified within their field, and then there's ongoing training, and there's a lot of cross training among staff. They go to obviously different conferences and things like that. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Silver Retreat, New Hampshire, Future Insight.
Hello, thank you so much for joining me today. I would love to hear a little bit more about your Silver Retreat program, if you don't mind. Let me start with age. Is there a specific age that you cover under your Silver Retreat?
Yes, the Silver Retreat is restricted to folks that are over or 55 or over.
55 or over, okay. For that group, when you do have a group come together, is there a certain number of participants you like to include or that you limit a group to?
Yes, we allow up to 12 participants. We always hope to get the full 12, but we don't take more than 12.
Okay, that makes sense. Is there housing available? Do they have a specific place that they stay?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so our Silver Retreats are a 5-day immersive program, and so they check in on a Monday and they stay at a hotel with us, and they check out on Friday. So we have them for 4 full nights. Yes, so the lodging is whatever hotel we're at for that week.
That's awesome. And do you schedule their entire time, even like after hours activities, or is it only training during the day and then they get free time?
So a mixture. So we have a couple of events that are optional in the evening. We always do a dinner out on the Wednesday evening. So that one, it's not listed as optional, but so we do that one on one night. We have a game night, and then we have some education in the evening as well.
Very nice. That is awesome. And for participants that are coming, is there transportation available if they can't maybe get to the hotel?
There is, yes. So our agency has a volunteer driver program. So we try to utilize our volunteer drivers first. And if that's not possible, we would help folks with private transportation, like sometimes a cab or an Uber to get them to and from the retreat.
Okay, awesome. So in terms of helping, is everything funded, even the transportation and materials and everything is funded, the hotel?
Everything is funded.
That's awesome. That is. What kinds of skills specifically are they learning during those day training sessions?
Sure. So we offer a variety of different skills, and for some folks it will be different depending on their vision impairment. So if somebody is visually impaired but not legally blind, We might have different breakout rooms. Part of the group might be doing one thing while, the other part of the group is doing a different skill based on their vision and their ability. Some of the sessions would be like, we would do low vision skills with magnification, but somebody that wouldn't benefit from magnification would maybe do something with OCR instead. So those are some of the, the differences, but we do offer, communication skills, orientation and mobility, lots of assistive technology, independent living skills. So one day, the Thursday of the retreat, we always go off site. When we're here in Concord, we use our building because we have an adaptive kitchen. But if we're someplace else in the state of New Hampshire, we would look at a community center or a church, someplace with a kitchen, and we do a day of independent living skills. So we split the group up. In the morning, half of the group does cooking, while the other half rotates through some other independent living skills, and then we swap for the afternoon. So everybody's getting hands-on kitchen skills. We do have adjustment to vision loss. We also have some games and some social interaction and some peer support as well throughout the week.
That's awesome. And do the participants have a way to stay connected after? Are there like continuous group things they can still participate in?
Yeah, so Friday we have like a little mini graduation ceremony and people can speak about their experience during the week. And they almost always ask if they can, if we will host a reunion for them. Unfortunately, we don't have funding available to host reunions at this time. But we do offer, for those that want to share their contact information, we create a contact sheet for them that's either handed out on paper in large print or emailed to the participants, whichever form they choose. So everybody that's willing to participate in that does get added to their contact list so they can choose to stay in touch after the retreat with each other.
Okay, that's awesome. In terms of support, do the participants get to bring a family member, or can a family member participate in any of the training?
So great question. The answer is no. Okay. We get asked that question a lot as well. And we want folks to work on their independent skills. And again, something else, because we've gotten asked that a lot, we sort of wanted to dig in a little bit deeper to maybe, how folks feel at the end of the retreat. So we have started asking them that. So we'll say, for the folks that, had asked about bringing somebody, do you still wish you brought somebody? And we have never received an yes for an answer. They have all said no by the end of the retreat.
Interesting.
Yeah. So some of the comments have been things like, well, if my wife was here, she would have helped me do these things. Or, so I'm glad I came by myself, so I learned how to do them independently. So we don't allow anyone. We have tossed the idea around because we get asked so often. But once we started asking the participants at the end and we're getting the feedback from them that they actually were happy they didn't bring somebody, we've stuck with the policy of not allowing a guest.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. In terms of the training itself, who's carrying out the training? Do you have like in-house trained staff, or do you have staff that are all certified within the vision rehabilitation field? How do you approach that?
So it's mostly in-house staff. So we have occupational therapists who are also CLBTs. Okay. So they do most of our training. We have a few assistive technology experts as well. So we utilize them during the week. We have a licensed social worker on staff. So she's leading those adjustment to vision loss sessions. We have certified orientation and mobility specialists. So we're using those in-house. One of the components actually is a presentation by an eye doctor. So we don't have any doctors on staff. So we do reach out to, to a local eye doctor to come give that presentation. We have reached out to, when we didn't have a licensed social worker on staff, we would sometimes reach out to a partner that we have used for that. So yeah, so our funding does come from the state of New Hampshire Department of Ed through their OIB program.
Okay.
So that's something they had put this out to bid, and we Future Insight bid on the program, and we were awarded the bid.
Okay.
So we're executing that. So yeah, so we're not funding. I just wanted to be clear that we're not funding this through our own agency.
Okay.
That is how it's funded.
And do you raise extra funds? Like, does OIB cover everything you all need, or do you raise extra funds for stuff that's not affordable?
So in the first contract, we were supplementing a lot because we didn't really, I guess, bid accurately, like not having done it before.
Yeah.
So we were for sure not recouping what we were putting in.
Okay.
But we learned from that mistake, I guess. And in the contract that we're currently in, we did more accurately represent what we were spending. So this contract, I don't feel like we have needed to supplement at all.
Okay. And does that include supplies for the individuals? If you're training them on, say, a tech supply, do they have the option to get that funded through OIB, or do they have to fund it themselves?
So we have an approved list of aids and devices that we can dispense through OIB. So folks can get a guide cane if they need a cane for orientation, mobility, a magnifying glass, UV filters, a task lamp, and then they're given like some communication skills items like bold line paper and signature guides. So there's a list of, and then some RT items. So when we do the training in the kitchen, they can get things like a liquid level indicator, measuring cups, measuring spoons. So there is a whole list of aids and devices that folks can get.
Okay. And is there a limit per person, or can they have anything on that list if it's usable?
They can have anything on that list if it's usable.
Okay. Is there anything in your current program that you wish you did have, or wish that you could add, that you would love to see it in terms of growth or expansion?
Great question. I think maybe some follow-up, some more follow-up after the week's concluded.
Okay.
Like a 6-month, appointment maybe, or, some kind of follow-up afterwards.
Okay.
Just sort of built into the program that everybody would get that. Right now, if folks reach out, it's usually approved that they can get, some additional training, but it's not really part of the curriculum or part of the program. It's more, one-on-one than for everybody.
Thank you for coming along with us during our April webinar series on retreat training programs. This month, we learned about a variety of programs that are offering retreat training programming to adults with visual impairments, specifically OIB consumers. This is a unique training opportunity for our adults, and we are happy to share this information with you.